Hi, this is Josh, and I'm going to be talking about automated testing in phpunit again in this video. I've done some other videos on automated testing for WordPress plugins with phpunit before. I looked at like unit testing where you're no WordPress, no MySQL loaded, no other plugins, right? And you're just testing little parts and you have to use mocks a lot to isolate your code and test it, and that's great. And I also showed things where we're using the integration test. This is another thing the plugin machine can scaffold for you to run locally and in CI. And these are tests that run in a special Docker container and do use WordPress and phpunit in MySQL, sorry, well, along with phpunit to test. So that way, like in a past video, I showed developing a database abstraction, API for a plugin, and it was like, we're putting data in the database. Let's prove that it comes in and out correctly, right? It doesn't make errors, doesn't make SQL errors going in. And I don't want to assume that those things are correct using the mock. I want to actually use them with the WordPress database API. So I want to build on that in this video and show how I would use the WordPress unit test case factories to help me test a class that uses WP query. Let me bring up this class here real quick. It's on the close all these out. Right here. There's just popular post as a static method that orders post by comment count. Bonus points if you can see what's wrong with this. We'll fix it as we go. Before we do that, let's open up a test case here. All of my classes, all of my test classes in the integration test will extend this class. And that allows us to add traits like this Yoast polyfill and to one class instead of others. And we can add special methods and things like that. And I end up, the longer a project goes on, the more I find things I'm doing repeatedly in unit tests or in integration tests. And so I turn those into functions and put them in the test case class. But the other thing we can do here is change this to WP unit test case, right? And then let's delete this. That's from the busted version of this recording. Let's go ahead and test that the tests work. And we have this, our existing tests, but we also have this one test that shows us that in this environment, we can save and read from the data, save to the database and read from the database. So opening up my README, scrolling down here to where it has this command, enter the database container, or the testing container. Then this command for testing. Just making sure that I don't get any errors now. Then let's go ahead here and recreate that test layer I had before. I have had to re-record this video an annoying number of times. Anyway, now that we're extending these factories, right? Because we're extending WP unit test case, we should have self factory. This is a method of the parent class. And this returns the WP test factory, whatever class, that is public properties that are like post or user, right? I could create a user. That's it, I have a user now. Let's see how that would work for like a post. If I say AD, and then I'm just going to go ahead and var dump real quick just to show you something. Get post ID exit. Let's run our tests again and it'll get stuck there on that exit statement. Oh, these have the same name. Sorry. That's weird. Wait. Run it again. So you'll see that it's making like unique names by running a counter, and it fills in all the stuff that we didn't fill out. But if we like fill in post title here, it will get used. So let's go like post title equals, it wants to say Roy, I'm not going to argue with it. And then we can do this, assert same. post title, right? We're just getting it from the database and making sure that it works correctly. Because we're just testing our testing in our assumptions. Like if somebody goes in here and goes, I don't want to extend test case, I'm just going to go back to extending something else. This test is going to fail because self factory post just doesn't work. And you're like, oh, we were assuming that elsewhere. But let's create a test for this class now. That's my namespace. It will be the same name as the class, popular posts, and then test. You have to put test at the end, or it won't be run as a test by phpunit. That's the default behavior. You would have to override it, and I don't recommend doing so. It's confusing. It's easier just to follow the standard. Extends test case. Now let's do public function test popular test get post, right? Test the name of the method. And so I want to create a popular post that I'm going to assign some comments to. So we'll create that exactly the same way as we did last time. Post. Right? But if I just did this now, that's the only post that exists. It'll be the only one that comes back. So before I want to create a less popular post as well. Before we do that, let's create some extra posts. Factory post create many. Instead this time, instead of create, we're going to create many. Let's create 4. I like to explain why I'm doing this. Create some extra posts. Okay. Create a post with 2 comments, right? And then we'll create a post with 1 comment. That way we can test that's the second one in order. This would be less popular post ID equals self factory post create, right? And then let's create some more posts just in case. 4 more posts, right? And then we need to actually attach some comments to these. So let's do self factory. Remember I said before that there's factories for like terms. Like I can create some terms, same pattern, create or create many. But what we're actually doing here is comment. And the one thing that I do need to do is, let's go back to the browser real quick, comment post ID. This is a wrapper around WP insert comment, this factory method that I'm using. And so that takes the same arguments, and I'm going to go back to my test here, and I'm going to say you're associated with the popular post, right? So now that has 1 comment. Now that has 2 comments, and this one here, we'll go to less popular post ID, and then we'll make 4 more. And then let's do post equals popular posts get posts 3. So that way we can limit it by default. Use handles popular posts. Right, so that way it's in scope. So the first thing we're going to want to do here, insert equals, or no, that would work. Well, it's the wrong number, but there's a special method called assert count. And one of the things that I like about this is if I end up screwing up and like returning the wrong method here, that should be 3. Like it doesn't return a Boolean, it returns a Boolean instead. This is going to fail because this isn't countable, this post here. And that's more meaningful to me. Then it has the wrong count, or like count when you pass the Boolean, which throw an error. So it'll be weird. So I'm going to use assert count. Let's undo this. I think I saved it. Okay, so that looks good. It did limit it, but that's not what we're testing. We're testing this order by. And so we want to make sure it's in the right order. And as I pointed out earlier, there's a problem in this. So we're going to use these tests to diagnose that. So let's say like that's a question that this test is answering. I like to think about my test in terms of like, what's this assertion telling me about my code? So are they in the right order? And the other advantage, typing it out, so if we get help, Copilot can just write it for me now. Cert equals. So for this time, we're going to go popular post ID post 0 as title. And then the second one should be, right, the second part of this should be less popular post ID. So let's run that. I think it's going to fail. Yeah. Okay. Well, first off, this should be post ID, not post title. Okay. Of course, then I would have to like set the ID directly, and it's to set the title to know what the title is, which is easier to do based on ID. Right. So it's just out of order now because this here, descending, probably put it in the right order. Cool. So that works. And this is just a little bit about how I use these. WP unit test case gives us this factory method. So we can use it to create dummy posts, dummy pages, dummy users, that kind of thing. I'll link in the description to this blog post that's got all of the information. It's not mine, but I love it. It's how I know how this stuff works. All the information about how to use these factories. So thanks for watching. You can also go to pluginmachine.com/subscribe to try a 2-week free trial, sign up for our mailing list, things like that. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching.